The U.S. administration, as well as the U.S. military leadership, are exploring the possibility of transferring modified modern Grey Eagle drones to Ukraine, from which sensitive technologies and components will be removed. This is stated in a CNN report with reference to two officials in the administration and the U.S. Congress, Ukrinform reports. The United States is considering how to modify the deadly throne. Changes that will make any possible losses of these drones with their sensitive technologies less dangerous may increase the likelihood that Ukraine will receive them, the official said. In particular, the possibility of making changes to technical settings and removing individual components is being considered. However, these things take time and are quite complicated, one of the interlocutors noted. Another official confirmed that the U.S. Army is exploring the possibility of making such changes to the design of a drone manufactured by General Atomics, known by the code name MQ-1C Grey Eagle. When it comes to drones, this is the best you can get. These are really sophisticated drones, said Seth Jones, director of the International Security Program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. As previously reported, the Biden administration rejected Ukraine's request to transfer the latest Grey Eagle drones, despite the insistence of members of Congress from both parties. Meanwhile, according to CNN, discussions regarding this type of weapon continue. On the night of November 15, explosions thundered in the temporarily occupied territory of the Kherson region. We are talking about the cities of Berpyr and Skadovsk on the left bank of the Dnieper. This is reported by Ukrinform with reference to the public of Kherson. Reports of explosions have been received since the evening of November 14. Information about the first explosions appeared around 22:07. In the first minutes after midnight, the media also reported powerful explosions in the temporarily occupied Skadovsk. Details are still unknown. Various contradictory information about the cities on the left bank of the Kherson region, which are still under Russian occupation, is being distributed in Telegram channels. Against this background, the head of the president's office, Andriy Yermak, laconically urged Ukrainians not to rush and wait for official information. Over the past day, units of the defense forces repelled the invaders' attacks in the areas of settlements, Novoselovskoye, Luhansk region, Belagorovka, Bakhmut, Bakhmutskoye, Vermovka, Krasnogorovka, Mariinka, Novokolinovo, Novomykolovka, Pervomaisk, Donetsk region. This information was published by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine on Facebook, Ukrinform reports. The Russian occupiers are trying to hold the temporarily occupied territories, are focusing efforts on deterring the actions of the Ukrainian defense forces in certain areas and continue to equip defensive lines on the left bank of the Dnieper. At the same time, they are conducting offensive operations in the Bakhmut, Avdiivsky and Novopavlovsky directions. The enemy does not stop shelling settlements and positions of units of the Ukrainian defense forces along the contact line, conducts aerial reconnaissance. It continues to strike at critical infrastructure and civilian housing, violating the norms of international humanitarian law, laws and customs of warfare. Over the past day, the enemy has launched 4 missile and 23 airstrikes, carried out more than 70 attacks from multiple rocket launchers. In the Volyn and Polsky directions, the situation remains without significant changes. The Republic of Belarus continues to support the armed aggression of the Russian Federation against Ukraine by providing it with infrastructure, territory and airspace. The threat of enemy missile and airstrikes remains, in particular with the use of unmanned aerial vehicles from the territory and airspace of the Republic of Belarus. In other directions, the enemy carried out shelling, in the Seversky direction, from mortars, barrel and rocket artillery in the areas of the settlements of Vorozhba, Nikolaivka, Romashkovo, Stepik, Unikovka of the Sumy region, in the Slobozansky direction, from artillery of various types in the areas of the settlements of Globoko, Ogortsevo, Okremovka, Reznikovo, Staritsa, Strelitskoye, Ternavaya of the Kharkiv region, in the Kupiansk and Lymansky directions, from tanks, mortars, barrel and rocket artillery in the areas of the settlements of Dvyreknia, Zagrizovo, Kislavka, Kolodezhnoye, Kopanki, Kotlyarovka, Tabyevka, Kharkiv region, Berestov, Ivanovka, Donetsk region, Makievka, Nevskoye, Novoselovskoye, Ploshchenka, Stelmakovka, Luhansk region, in the Bakhmut direction, from tanks and artillery of various types in the areas of the settlements of Andriivka, Bakhmut, Bakhmutskoye, Belagorovka, Verkhnekamenskoye, Grigoryevka, Ozaryanovka, Klishchivka, Kurdiamovka, Serebryanka, Soldar, Spurnoy, Toretsk, Yakovlevka, Donetsk region, in the Avdiivka direction, from tanks, mortars, barrel and rocket artillery in the areas of the settlements of Avdiivka, Vodian, Mariinka, Nevelskoye, Novomikhalovka, Novosilovka II, Pervomaisk Donetsk region, in the Novopavlovsky direction, from tanks, mortars, barrel and rocket artillery in the areas of the settlements of Bogoyevlenka, Velikaya Novoselka, Vremovka, Ugledar, Zoloteya Niva, Niskochnoye, Novopoli, Pavlovka, Paraskovivka, Prechistovka, Donetsk region. In the Zaporozhye direction, from tanks and the entire spectrum of artillery in the areas of the settlements of Belogorye, Dorozhnyanka, Zelezno-Dorozhnoye, Malaya Tokmachka, Novodanilovka, Novopokrovka, Temirovka, in the Kherson direction, from mortars, barrel and rocket artillery in the areas of the settlements of Vyshketarasovka, Good Hope, Ilyinka, Dnipropetrovsk region, Dudchany, Novoalexandrovka, Odradokomenka and Tamarino, Kherson region. In the temporarily occupied territory of the Luhansk region, the enemy is looking for abandoned private houses for the settlement of military personnel who arrived to make up for the losses of the occupation units. In the settlement of Novoydar, Russian occupiers, in order to clarify information about abandoned housing, distribute messages among local residents demanding to come to the so-called administration to clarify the data. The defeat of enemy units over the previous days in the occupied territory of the Luhansk region has been confirmed. So, in the settlement of Milovatka, the Ukrainian Defense Forces destroyed the headquarters of a unit of the Russian occupation forces. At the moment, it is known about 30 dead and more than 20 wounded Russian occupiers. In the temporarily occupied Crimea, there is a gradual restoration of vehicle traffic on the Kerch Bridge. Drivers of passenger cars have a permit to pass through it after a thorough check. The rest of the transport connection is carried out via ferry crossings. The aviation of the Defense Forces of Ukraine has struck the enemy 21 times over the past day. 18 areas of concentration of personnel, weapons and military equipment, as well as 3 positions of enemy anti-aircraft missile systems were hit. Over the past day, the Ukrainian Defense Forces shot down 2 Orlan-type drones. Units of missile troops and artillery of the Defense Forces over the past day have struck 3 control points, 19 areas of concentration of manpower, weapons and military equipment, air defense positions and 2 ammunition depots of the Russian occupiers. The Russians practically destroyed an energy facility that provided electricity to the entire right bank of the Kherson region and a significant part of the Mykolaiv region. As Ukrinform reports, this was announced on Facebook by the head of the NEC Ukrenergo, Vladimir Kudrytsky. The power facility, which provided electricity to the entire right bank of the Kherson region and a significant part of the Mykolaiv region, is almost destroyed. It doesn't exist anymore. 2 auto-transformers, each weighing 250 tons, were blown up. Relay protection hall, compressor room, battery room, which, according to the terrorists, were not destroyed by explosions, were additionally shot and destroyed. Several hectares of the consequences of the powerless anger of the occupiers before fleeing from the right bank of the Kherson region. A vile horde that only knows how to destroy, he said. According to Kudrytsky, despite this, Ukrenergo, together with the CAA, the State Emergency Service and the Regional Power Company, are already working on power supply schemes for the liberated Kherson region from 2 neighboring regions. He stressed that it would not be easy. Sappers are already inspecting high-voltage lines that run through territories where heavy fighting has been going on recently. The level of mining there is very high. We work carefully, but we don't waste a minute. As the head of Ukrenergo noted, most of the liberated Kherson region has been without electricity since November 6. We are doing everything possible to provide people with energy as quickly as possible in accordance with the selected backup schemes. At the same time, over the weekend we have already handed over the list of necessary equipment for the Kherson region to our foreign partners. The system operators of Poland and France have already reacted. The equipment is already on its way to Ukraine. Thank you, friends, he said. As Ukrinform reported, on November 11, President Vladimir Zelensky announced that Kherson was returning to Ukraine's control. Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council Alexei Danilov called two threats to Kherson: mining and unexploded shells of Russians and possible shelling of the city from the left bank of the Dnieper.